Hey, peace family, it's Jay Morrison, and I want to welcome you to my first episode of Jaywalk. This is a new series I'm doing, just really showing the culture how I move and how to move, and what I've learned over the last 38 years now. I'm like 38 in the game, 38 special. Just what I've learned through life that allowed me to maneuver through life, that allowed me to beat the trap, beat poverty, beat prison, overcome being a high school dropout, a teenage dad, overcome being a divorcee, overcome bankruptcy, overcome everything that damn near happened, you name it, work release, ankle bracelets, probation, parole, right? Just everything that I've overcome in life, all the adversity, all the trials, tribulations, the bad decisions, the bad hands I've been dealt, the bad hands I created. I've still been able to, walk the walk and become a success, build 3 multi-million-dollar companies, be a 3-time author, 2-time best-selling author, be a great dad to 2 beautiful daughters, be a husband to a beautiful wife, a great husband to a beautiful wife, and just all the things I embody from all my mentors, and just all the businesses, all the hustle, all the street corners, all the prison cells, all the just the women, the dating, the just everything that I've done. I want to just give you guys game on how to move, how to walk, right? So it's jaywalk. And this first lesson is really never let anyone tell you no. Well, no, excuse me. Never tell yourself no, right? Forget what everybody else say. Too many people that I come across, too many of all of us have this ideology, this philosophy where something seems challenging or something seems impossible, and then you don't even try. You just tell yourself no. And I'm going to start off with this quote. I'm not even sure where I got this quote from. I might have made it up myself. I don't know. I don't want to give myself credit. I might have stole it from somebody. But the quote is, where there's a little to lose and a lot to gain, why not try? And oftentimes, you have nothing to lose by trying. I mean, it's like there's no penalties, no smack on the hand. You're not losing no money. You're not going to jail. Like, this is a clear lane across the street, but you just feel like you can't make it, and so you just tell yourself that this ain't for me, or my record, or my past experiences, or my skin color, or my height, my weight, how I look, my record, whatever that is, and so you don't take an attempt and you don't shoot your shot. And that's not how I was able to build the historic Tulsa Real Estate Fund, the first black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of the world, right? How I was able to be the first black man to do what Marcus Garvey did since Marcus Garvey did it in 1919. And that's raised millions of dollars of capital through selling shares of a company for the advancement of our community. And what Marcus Garvey did in 1919 with the UNIA and the Black Star Line and his company, we did with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund in 2018, nearly 100 years later. I wouldn't be able to have built the Jay-Morrison-Academy to the Inc. 500s, one of the fastest growing companies in the country at Inc. 500, number 588. I wouldn't have been able to even build a school, not having ever went to college or school myself. So I just never told myself no. I always told myself yeah. And so even taking it back to when I was a realtor in 2005, when I was applying for my real estate license as a 3-time felon, everyone told me you can't get a real estate license with felonies. I had a drug trafficking charge and felonies in Maryland, served time in prison time in Maryland. I had a drug possession and handgun charge. Oh, and a handgun charge in Maryland, and employing a minor doing a drug trafficking crime because some young 16-year-old kid was on my team and he snitched, but that's a different story. But I had all these charges, felonies, gun charges, over 2.5 years in prison, 3 felonies, 3 different states. Applied for my real estate license in 2005. Everyone told me, like, why even waste your time? They're gonna tell you no. And I'm like, well, if it's a $300 application or the class or whatever the case is, so I could lose that $300 if it don't go well. I'll still get an education from the class, but I won't get a license. So I'm weighing my options, right? Again, if there's little to lose and a lot to gain, why not try? So I'm trying to change my life and get off the streets of 10th and Springfield and 100 in the Avon Ave in Newark, New Jersey. And so if I want to gain this new life for myself, I needed to apply for my mortgage license, which I did, and I got approved, and my real estate license. And I took the test, and inevitably, I had to go on probation for the real estate commission. I had to go to different states to get all my discoveries from my different charges. I had to get character letters. I had to go through a process. I didn't say it was just an easy slam dunk, but I got my real estate license. Again, matched with my mortgage license, matched with me being an investor at 25, and in 3 years made my first million in the industry by 28 years old. All from never telling myself no, right? This jaywalk, this is how you move. And let's take it back before that. 1998, I get locked up in New York with a quarter kilo of coke and a .38 revolver. I go through Rikers Island, go through court system, I go to upstate New York, I go to prison. While I'm upstate New York in prison, they had applications for work release. Now, mind you, I got like probably 8 months in, right, on a 1 to 3 sentence. And so I had not went to parole yet. And so applications came to our dorm for work release, and I was going to fill one out, and one of the big homies who had been through the New York system, he's a prison expert, right? I mean, he'd been locked up his whole life. He just know everything about jail. And all the old heads is like, yo, Jersey, they call me Jersey. I was locked up in New York. They're like, why would you apply for work release when you know they don't give work release to gun charges, right? And I had a gun charge that I pleaded to. And so I'm like, well, if I fill the application out, do I get in trouble? Like, do I go to the box? Do I lose time? Like, what's the lose from me filling this application out, even though I know I got a gun charge? So me, this how I've been walking and moving my whole life. This ain't even like no new stuff. I just always been. It's just common sense to me. Like, I don't understand how y'all don't get it. Like, why would you tell yourself no? If they not telling you no, why would you tell yourself no? Like, if I got a shot, I'm gonna shoot it. So I fill the work release application out with my gun charge, with my quarter kilo A2 felony. I had the second highest felony in the state of New York. Fill it out. Next thing I know, 3 weeks later, I got locked up under my maiden born name is Robinson. My mom changed my name to Morrison later, right? So I got locked up. That was my alias, was Robinson. So they say, Robinson, come on down. My number was 99R1288. That was my prison number. So they called me to the front. They're like, you're going to work release. 3 weeks later, I'm on a bus going to work release. My daughter was born while I was in prison. Now, instead of listening to these dumbasses, I would have been in prison for 4 more months. Now I get to go to, they took me to Queens first, then to Harlem. I was on work release in Harlem across from Central Park. Like 3 weeks later, after a week being in work release, did my orientation, I got my first 8-hour furlough. My baby mom came to scoop me, you know what I mean? Went right to the telly. So while they up north looking at each other, men showering with men, I'm home in the streets for 8 hours with my daughter, seeing her. My man brought my Rolex. I put my Rolex on. I'm 19 years old. I come back to the prison. I got new bags. I went shopping uptown. In 8 hours, I did everything. Came back, and now I'm beginning to enjoy some freedoms. Then I got a full day furlough, and then I got a job, and so forth and so on. I got in trouble, in work release because the warden of the jail had the same blue-faced Submariner Rolex that I had at 19. He's like, yo, nobody wearing a Rolex in this jail but me. So he made me send it home. That's a different story. But my point is that I've always been moving optimistically. I've always been moving, shooting my shot. Whether that was, again, trying to get home from jail, whether I was getting into real estate. Just recently, I had to apply for something that asked about my background and my record, and it asked that I have gun charges. Think about it. I mentioned the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund is a SEC, that's the Security and Exchange Commission, federal, right? It's a federal commission. Security and Exchange Commission regulated real estate crowd fund. You know how scary that was applying for this fund when they, as the founder of the fund and the fund manager who's managing millions of dollars of capital, regulated by the federal government, are asking me to fill out this application and asking what's my background and what's my record. I'm still gonna shoot my shot. All these lessons allowed me to be that bold and that brave to shoot it. Right? So that's how I live, that's how I move, that's how I walk. That's why I want to encourage you all. I just talked to one of my coaching clients this weekend. This is what inspired this actual lesson, which really inspired this series. It's like, I gotta show people how to move. Like, I've literally been able to move through life and just defy the odds. Like, this is facts. And one of my coaching clients was flipping a real estate deal. He made some errors on his part in calculating his budget and was over budget and had to tap into his credit cards to pay his carrying costs, right? When you're flipping a house, you got to pay carrying costs, the mortgage, taxes, and insurance while the flip is going on. You still got to pay bills, right? And then the city inspector came out and shut his project down for 5 weeks, which cost him some more money. And so he was paying his carrying costs with his personal credit cards now. He's tapped into his investment money. He tapped into his original, budget. And so he's hitting me up like, Jay, big homie, coach, mentor, I need some advice. So he's telling me this situation. So I'm just like, mind you, I done faced so much stuff in life, like none of this stuff phases me. So I'm just listening to him. Okay. So I'm like, all right, you need some more money. So I'm like, did you ask for a credit card increase on your credit cards? He's like, no. He's like, my credit cards are maxed out. They're not going to improve me. So I said, King, how much are you behind right now? Because his concern was he didn't want to go 30 days late on his credit cards. Like, he's totally tapped, right? And so I said, well, how much money do you need to avoid going 30 days late on your credit cards, which would destroy your credit, and then, which we'll still get around that. He was talking about bankruptcy. He's like, King, I know you filed bankruptcy. I know you got around it. Could you give me game on the bankruptcy? I'm like, well, so I gave him game on, how I would approach and look at bankruptcy. I said, well, how much are you in debt? He said, $10,000. I said, well, how much do you have to pay as a minimum payment? He said, $1,000. I said, King, you're not even close to filing bankruptcy with $10,000 in debt and you just owe $1,000 minimum. I said, no, not time for that. So I said, let's think about other ways you can come up with $1,000. So I said, did you increase your credit cards? He said, no, because they're going to deny me because I'm maxed out on everything. I said, King, if you call your credit card company and ask them to increase your limit, what would it cost you? What's the harm? If there's a little to lose and a lot to gain, why not try? Your credit card company, one might say, you know what, you're maxed out, but we can give you $500. Boom! That's half of what you need right there. One might say, oh, you're maxed out, we'll give you $3,500. Now you to the good. So it's like, why tell yourself no? Why undercut yourself? Why deny yourself an opportunity when there's very little risk involved, right? So it's like jaywalking. Like jaywalking is like, hey, if you get across the street a little faster, now I'm not telling you to jaywalk because I ain't paying your tickets. But I'm just saying, if the street is clear, there's no cars coming neither way. The light might be red, but ain't no cars coming. You get across the street a little faster. There's a little risk to lose. You might, which probably has very rarely happened to most people in life, unless you're in New York City, you might get a ticket for crossing the street where there's not a green or yellow light. You might get a $25 fine. But the point is, there's a little risk in it. There's little to lose, but a lot to gain with you reaching your destination faster. That's the whole point of jaywalk. The fact that you can get somewhere faster with little risk, but a lot to gain. And so my client took my advice. I also asked him, hey, have you asked any family or friends? I said, how much equity do you have in your deal when your flip is complete? He has potential to make $60,000 on this flip. Here's another one. I said, did you list the property on the market yet, even though it's not complete? He said, no, my realtor said we shouldn't list it till the landscaping is done outside. I said, King, you're sitting here talking about bankruptcy. And you got $60,000 potentially to make. You need $1,000 to get by on this property. Why wouldn't you list the property on the market? And you never know what might happen, even though the landscaping is not done. Even though the house is not a pretty picture from the outside. Take a creative picture from the inside. Or just take it as is. Put no picture. Use an old picture. But nevertheless, by you offering the house on the market early, someone could be going through their own divorce right now. They just need a place to stay. Their rental lease is up. And they're dying for a bi-level crib just as the one that you are renovating. And now they purchase it and you just made 60 grand and your troubles are over. All by trying something that had little risk. What are the risks to listing a property early? Well, one, you might list it early, the landscape is not done, and people don't want it. Oh well, you wouldn't have sold it anyway. So by you at least trying it on the market, you give yourself a shot. Someone might say, you know what, I'll give you $30,000 less than what you're asking. which means you won't make 60 grand on a profit. You'll make 30 grand on a profit. Right now you need 1,000, so 30 would be good. So I'm showing you all how to think, how to walk, how to move. Like, stop boxing yourself out. Stop telling yourself no, right? And so I gave him a third option in this situation, and that option was, why don't you, since you have so much equity involved, why don't you talk to family and friends and see if anyone will give you a loan, right, based on your potential success on this project. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I don't want to go that route because, I don't want to really go into friends and family. They might say no, they might say yes. And so anyway, he took my advice. A friend loaned him $10,000 with 5% interest. So he got to pay back $500 on $10,000. That'll hold him over for the rest of his project, flip his house, make up to 60 grand, and there he is, walking smoothly across the street, all by following the path of least resistance and not telling himself no, right? So shoot your shot. This is episode 1 of Jaywalk. I want to do more of these. Again, I've just learned so much, and outside of just Instagram or just those in my academy, which I think you all should want to get mentored by me or coached by me and my associate coaches and our instructors in our school. I think it's a phenomenal school that gives great information on wealth education, on how to build wealth for your family and be the best CEO for your last name. I think you guys should also invest with me in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. But outside of those opportunities, or even get funding from me through our Easy Funding initiative, but outside of all that business stuff, I want to just give you this free game, this free mentorship, and just really just contribute to the culture, because my goal is to move the culture forward. I want to do what Jay-Z did for me, what Malcolm X did for me, what Marcus Garvey did for me. These are people, I've met Jay-Z, I haven't obviously met Malcolm or Marcus, but kings that I haven't necessarily built with intimately, they've taught me so much from afar. So there's many of you who may never be personally acquainted with me, but through these videos, through these lectures, through these conversations, really, hopefully I can leave some game and a blueprint for you, like Hov left a blueprint for me, that'll show me how to walk and show me how to move. Like, that's how I got raised. That's how I got through the streets. That's how I got through prison. I was down Eastern Correctional Institution. I was one of the first ones to get the blueprint tape when everybody was fighting over Jay-Z and Nas, take over Ether, right? Like, but Hov really, he gave me game just through his music. Unfortunately, I can't rap, so I'm gonna have to give you game on some cool ass lectures and shit. So this is episode 1 of Jaywalk. Never tell yourself no, man. Shoot your shot. We out here. Peace. Treff life. Oh, so for y'all who watch this on my YouTube, Facebook, or on a podcast, or whatever we do with this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share so your friends get this valuable information. Make sure you like it and show me some love, man. And let's be a part of this community, man. And don't forget to take these lessons to heart and just, walk right, move right, jaywalk.